is Navi, and my magic number is 302197. Let me just get right into this. So, actually, right, North Country was a spectacular film. I did think that, this movie highlighted a lot of important issues, and it addressed, a lot of mainstream issues that are supposed to be addressed. And it is a pleasure and an honor to be talking about, this movie in general. So let me start off with like my first impression of this movie. So the thing is, right, when Dr. Nizam said that we were supposed to review North Country, I had like some sort of peculiar vibe on the title, because why is it North Country? Like, why isn't it West Country? Because those are people of the West, aren't they? Or why is it not South Country? I mean, things were going south for her after all. I mean, wasn't it? But all in all, it was like, a good movie. I understood why the title went all about. And let me just, get right into it. Also, I'd like to justify something. I have like, a purple background because it is, a way of showing solidarity to the people who were associated or or engaged in gender-based violence in South Africa predominantly. It's like a way to advocate for women's rights. And okay, let me just get right into it. So there's a lot, a lot of things that bothered me in this film, and of course, one of the major aspects is the sexual harassment, because why? What? Like at first, like when I watched the movie, I was like, what? Like, our bodies aren't your prized possessions. You can't just grope us or touch us whenever you want. And it made me so mad that her colleagues were actually like harassing them. They were touching and groping them, however they want, and that's not something that's supposed to happen. Because you're a man, you're a protector. You shouldn't be a predator, and especially when you're working, it's so unethical for you to do this in a workplace. And honestly, like I remember, like this one scene where like Sherry and Josie were working together, and Earl and Bobby were like there, and suddenly Earl was like, "Can I have a cigarette?" And of course, like it bothered the girls, and they said to go away. But guess what Bobby did? He groped her and took the cigarette butt from her pocket next to her chest himself. Now, this isn't something that is supposed to be happening, because when you okay, in a workplace, you ought to be, you ought to behave, and you ought to be doing your work. You ought to be taking care of your job performance and not harassing other people, not groping other people, not making them feel uncomfortable. And it's the fact that you think that these girls aren't going to speak up, and that's why you're so comfortable doing it to them. It made me fume. Like I was fuming throughout, like most of the scenes in North Country, because I was so uncomfortable watching that. It's the fact that they had to endure so much, and it reached a breaking point. Josie couldn't take it because it reached a breaking point, and she has been enduring this nonsense for like so long. Even when the scene started off with her abusive husband, she had to work in the mine, which gives her 6 times the money that she usually earns, in order to fend her family, okay, in order to feed her kids. And okay, this is something that I have to address, because one of her kids pissed me off so bad. It Okay, here's the thing. Like, I get it, you are in your adolescence. I understand that it's quite hard for you to grasp that your mother is like being bashed like that, and you might get strayed away by rumors and stuff like that. But one thing is really important is that you have to, investigate and not jump into conclusions, like the way, the son did. Because I remember once Kyle actually saw, Josie's son and confronted him on why he was there at such, a late time. And he was like, my mom is lying, she's actually a whore. Really? Really? So you decide to, like, believe people who spread rumors without any actual facts over your own mother. And it broke my heart because, it felt like his mom, I mean, had, she went through so much. It felt so heartbreaking to watch her, just break down and cry like that. it yeah, it was really, tear jerking for me. And I really hate the fact that, women are so degraded in the film. I understand, like, the issue that, is ongoing and how women are degraded. And you know what I'm thankful for is the fact that I don't relate to it. But growing up, it's like I've been predominantly in a female household. I mean, most of us in my household, even, we're mostly girls. All my siblings are girls, even I am. And like, I was, in a convent school when I was aged 7 up until I was 17. So I've been there for like so long. The rulers that I'm familiar with are women. And for, like, women to be degraded like that, for women to, not have any leadership roles in the eyes of patriarchy, it baffles me. Because how does leadership coincide with gender? I feel like you can be a good leader regardless of your gender, right? Anatomically, yes, we're different. But how is it my fault that I can get pregnant? How is it my fault that I need maternity leave because another guy planted his seed on me? How is that my fault? I can't just, reverse my anatomy, can I? I'm a woman. I mean, have you seen men get pregnant? Okay, it's 2025, so anything can happen, But yeah, but why are we shamed and, degraded for something that is beyond our control? Like, why are we not chosen for, work? Because I remember once Dr. Nizam said that his boss, had him undergo screening, and he didn't want any, like, women applications in there. Really? Like, we're just there to fill in quota then. You're not picking based on merits, you're picking based on gender, something that we have no control over. Unless I choose to change my gender, I mean, like, because it's 2025, as I said, you can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want. Some of us can even be unicorns, I guess, but yeah. Listen, I don't have control over my own biology, okay? And I'm not going to change it. I'm a proud woman. And it's the fact that, the men in North Country, they make us feel so low about our gender. They think that, they have possession over our bodies. My bodies are not your prized possession, okay? Like, respect me. It's not a demand. It's just basic human decency to do that. And you know what literally broke my heart? It's the fact that, Josie's father, right? It took a man for the whole crowd of other men to be silent. Josie's father finally spoke up, because he couldn't stand his daughter getting insulted like that. When Josie spoke up, everybody humiliated her. They berated her. But, when it's her father said that, he was, shamed to be a ranger because of how, the men are humiliating his daughter. Everyone felt silent. But why? It took a man for you to realize that it's wrong. So the words of the words of a man mattered more than the truth of a young innocent girl. That is victim blaming at its finest, and it happened throughout North Country, and it's the fact that it can be related to real life as well. Every time a woman, gets raped and whatnot, one of the first questions that people ask are, "Oh, what was she wearing?" How does our clothes become an invitation for you to grope and touch us? I don't get it. I see men, in swimming trunks with their, bulge right there, okay, right there staring at me. I don't feel like doing anything to him. But why is it when, women just show a bit of cleavage and all of y'all go nuts? It, it, it's weird. It's weird. Like, I don't get it. And people make us feel so ashamed of our bodies. Periods were not meant to be like, said out loud because it was something shameful. People couldn't even enter, holy temples because of, periods and stuff. I have a problem with all of these because no, no, it's not right. And I love the fact that, Josie won her case at the end. It it took, the fact that the law was so late for to protect women, the system prioritized comfort over fairness and justice, which is why, most of the workers in the mining industry were men. So imagine if, like, the higher authorities were to go against men. They think that it'll get messy, and they think, oh, it's just a woman, what is she gonna do? We have just because we're just women, it doesn't mean we don't have a voice. It doesn't mean we can't speak up. It doesn't mean that, we're gonna take everything that you're gonna throw at us. It doesn't mean we would want to get berated by you. Okay? It doesn't mean that our bodies can be used just for your own pleasure. We're women, okay? We give life to you. Your mom gave birth to you. Why can't you respect women then? What's so hard? And the hypocrisy of these men, it's the fact that if it involves their loved ones, suddenly it's not a problem. That's wrong. I don't understand why people do this to women. And regardless of gender, I believe that I'm a raging feminist, okay? And there's a line between a feminist and a misandrist. A misandrist is someone who straight up hate men. And it's like, I feel like misogyny is more rampant, but I'm not justifying any of these. As a feminist, I don't believe that, equality in an essence is supposed to be like, women over men. That's not what a feminist is. A feminist is someone who supports the movement for women, for women's rights, someone who advocates for women's rights, because we needed feminism in order for us to, like, move forward. And I believe that, all of these are really important. And I love the fact that, at least Bill was there for Josie. I understand that, there were times where Bill, he didn't want to, like, get involved in much trouble. He just told her, like, it's best we don't do stuff like that because we're gonna get into trouble. But at the same time, he was there for her. And it just shows that, not all men are bad. There are good men out there. It's just that, I wouldn't say they're a rare gem, but they are a gem. And I truly appreciate men like that. I love this movie so much. It holds a deep place in my heart, and yeah, I understand why it's North Country, because things didn't really go south after all. I cried so hard, like, I took a lot of takes, for this movie, and I cried so hard, but yeah, I think it's all, worth it in the end. And Yeah,